Not only China and Korea had dominated the Summer Games Fest, but actually beautiful women as well, as you see with SNK, its new release of a title that kind of took up the conversation online because of its overall striking character designs that are reminiscent of a time bygone within the gaming industry, where we have a lot of these beautiful female characters with amazing physics in certain areas. And I think this is a thing that people will like about SNK, something everyone was worried that might be gone from SNK ever since it was purchased by a Saudi Arabian prince. If you don't know what I'm talking about, SNK is now fully owned by a Saudi Arabian prince, the prince that is about to be king of Saudi Arabia. And I think this is the thing that people were concerned about, while other people saw this as a freeing action from Western games development ideology that kind of is polluting the industry. And it seems like the people that supported the Saudi Arabian prince buying over 96% of SNK are validated with their celebration of the purchase, because what we're seeing from some of the previews and gameplay, we're getting pretty uncensored art from these character designs. And I think that's the thing we're getting from SNK. And I think throughout the Summer Games Fest, we were inundated with multiple character designs that were reminiscent to what we've seen in the past in the video game development industry. One of my favorite trailers has to be The First Descendant. Had one of the most amazing trailers I saw for a game at the Summer Games Fest. And this is, of course, a Korean developer. And I think this is a thing that we've been seeing throughout the games development industry. The games that are catching the attention of gamers have been Korean games and Chinese games. And I think we see this progressing even further with the Summer Games Fest after seeing Sony's State of Play in multiple games grabbing the attention, like Infinity Nikki and a multitude of other games that are coming up from Chinese developers. And I think First Descendant is another Korean developed game that is grabbing the attention of gamers that Western games developers used to do often. At the Games Fest, all we saw was PvP shooters from Western games developers, things that we always see from these developers who are chasing this live service high. And I think that's the thing people are sick and tired of. Of course, the indie developers are doing brand new things, but I think what we're getting from China and Korea, they're developing the first player games that we miss from gaming. And I think that's the thing that we see here with First Descendant, which has stellar gameplay. It's not focused on activist political ideology. We don't see random shades of Indian, black, or white Asian people that just seem odd to be mixed in a certain area. I think that's the thing that we saw consistently throughout Western games developers when we watch some of their trailers, where we see, okay, this is affected by a consultancy firm. We have a multitude of diverse set of characters here, and I'm sad that's the way we perceive it now. But I think these consultancy firms and political activists kind of ingrained this in the video gamers now, where they expect diverse games to be forced and not natural. And I think that's the thing that people are reacting to now. And I think watching some of these Korean games, we notice this is pure creation of fun and entertainment, and it's just not trying to force a political message onto people, and it's just doing things in an interesting way, much like Stellar Blade. And you can see this with the games from China as well, where they're making content that is fantastical and imaginative, that things that we wouldn't dare to see an American developer make because they're too stuck on PvP, live shooters, team plays, and random other assortments of gameplay tactics. And I think that's the thing people are enjoying about watching some of these games. And this game right here, Phantom Blade, just looking at the gameplay and the complicated battle tactics that have placed into this game, it just makes you interested in wanting to play it. I think that's the thing that we're getting from Chinese and Korean developers, along with the beauty aesthetic that we were craving for from Western game developers that refuse to make games that are beautiful anymore. And I think that's the thing China and Korea are delivering. They're delivering that beauty that is missing in video games, and they're doing it so effortlessly that reminds us, like, oh yeah, remember 10 years ago we used to get all these type of games so often, 10-15 years ago. Now that's not the case anymore. And I think when we see these games coming from Korea and China, it just reignites the imagination about those past times that we got these type of games so often, that we were spoiled. And now that we're seeing bits and pieces of these games come out, we're getting excited over something that should be coming out often but isn't coming out at all nowadays. And we can see this with Black Myth Wukong, that is kind of a highly anticipated game from a Chinese developer that is getting that excitement from the game player by making something unique and never before seen seen in gaming. I think that's the thing, bringing these cultures alive, especially Chinese culture with the Monkey King. This is something that we haven't seen in video games, and they're doing it so well and it's such a fascinating way that this is capturing the imaginations of gamers. And I think that's why I'm so heavily praising these countries and these game developers outside of America, because they're doing things that we're rarely to see in America nowadays, where it's just doing something broad and appealing to everyone that is not trying to fly in the face of the game players, excluding them in favor of what they deem an inclusive minority of people they want to placate. And I think that's what we see in Western games. And the Summer Game Fest kind of just showed that gamers are not really excited about those games. There was a whole assortment of games that came out. Some have that Sweet Baby Inc. influence, the DEI influence. You can automatically tell with these games because just the shades and colors of every character. Everyone's talking about the being represented. But I have to say, compared to previous years, it was a lot less of that talking. It's more just demonstrations where we see people, diverse backgrounds on stage doing things, which I think is fine. As long as you're producing a good game, that's the thing I want to see from a Summer Games Fest. Competent people making good games and just being in general excited about gaming. And I think that's what we got with Summer Games Fest. And I think that is the thing that people only want from gaming. We don't want your political activism. We don't really care about that. You can present a game, but don't expect people to praise you for making a diverse representative game, because we just want a good game that is exciting to play. We don't care about your activism. And I think these are the games that are grabbing people's attention. These Korean, Japanese, and Chinese games, and less so Japanese, since they've been heavily influenced by the DEI bug, the diversity, equity, inclusion bug, through investments through gigantic investment banks like BlackRock and Vanguard. And I think that's the situation with Japan. And I don't think Korea and China are that influenced by that investment cohort. And we're seeing it displayed in the video games that are being released, where we're seeing high quality games with beautiful characters. And I think that's the thing I was missing from this game. And I think that's the thing people are praising, some of the best games that were displayed today. And that is what I see from Summer Games Fest. I see a lot of interesting games and a dynamic between East West Coast developers. It sounds like this may be like a 1996 rap beef, but East Coast is dominating with a lot of Asian developers putting out content that gamers actually want to play. And I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to from all the games in the Summer Games Fest. And that's the thing I'm excited for from the Summer Games Fest. It felt like there was a lot less pandering. Of course, the pandering was still there. You saw some randomly diverse games talking about their impact and bringing people together, blah, 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 and that. And that's okay. You can do that as long as you're not trying to force every single game to be like that. I'm okay with it. And I think that's what we saw with Summer Games Fest, at least the Eastern developers, because when we saw their games, we saw the effort to please the fans. And I think that's the thing I like the most about watching some of those trailers, like Phantom Blade, like First Descendant, and like Black Myth Wukong and SNK. Of course, SNK, that's not from an Eastern developer. Now it's a Saudi Arabian developer, and it'll be crazy if we start getting high quality games from Saudi Arabia now that are way better than the Western games development in America and Europe. And I think that would be fascinating if the rest of the world takes advantage of the Western games development weakness to making beautiful, fun games as they obsess over activism and politics rather than games development. I think this is a chance that China is seeing. This is a chance that Korea is seeing. And I think this is a chance that Samsung is seeing, because as you saw in the Summer Games Fest, Samsung was being heavily promoted everywhere. And I don't think just simply as an advertiser partner. I think they really may be looking to get their hands into the gaming industry, maybe with its own console, especially as the Korean developers stack up with quality games. This is an opportunity for Samsung to carve a niche into this environment, especially as Xbox is deteriorating. And I see that as a possibility, as the funding from South Korean government is promised to anyone that is developing games or consoles in Korea. So I see Samsung taking up the flag and maybe developing their own console. But that's just my own speculation. I want to hear what you think is going to happen with the future of gaming in Korea and China, and what's going on with this Summer Games Fest and beautiful women being brought back into the fold. Not as much as I hope, but I think little by little we're seeing a lot more of that come to play. But you leave your comments, tell me what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.